What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. KG's back talking transfers that I believe will help Leeds United in the short and long term. And obviously, we know the goal is to get promotion, so it all goes towards that. Also, going to talk about a name that I think Leeds United could take a risk on, but it's a hell of a risk. It's a big risk, and I'll go into the reasons why I believe so. Before I get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop your comments below. Give me names that you feel that we should target. Obviously, at this stage, it's all speculation. We don't know how big or small we're going. We've heard about the Red Bull investment, which is still great for me. And we already knew that the 49ers had capital before. So we're going to spend money, but we also need to utilize the loan and free transfer market. So bear that in mind too. Thank you to Malcolm, Patrick, and D Parker, who've become members of the channel. Much appreciated. And thank you to all existing members. Thank you for that support. It really does go a long way, especially when there's no football on. So, if you want to become a member, show you support for myself, the membership link is in the description. So let's get straight into this, okay? First name up, Andrew Omobamidele. Yeah, he is somebody that signed for Nottingham Forest from Norwich City last summer for about £11 million. And I believe that we could get him on loan. I think that this could be a loan situation. I don't know if Forest would be willing to sell. He only appeared 11 times for him last season. And I think they had a change of manager. Don't quote me on that. Seasons are blended for me. But he wasn't trusted by Forest in terms of getting the game time. So I do think that this could be a loan situation that could help us out. And maybe, Forest, they may look at our loan situation and see the minutes that loans didn't get. But I think Daniel Farker, having the relationship he did with this defender, would help him out. Forest may say, we saw how you use your loans last system. It's not very good. We want him to get football. And he could say, you can trust me to use Andrew. We work together. I trust him implicitly. I believe he can be a solution for the team. And you saw what I did with Joe Woden. I will play him. I will play him until I can't play him anymore. I trust Andrew and he trusts me. So you have no doubt that I will play him for Leeds United. And I got 90 points. So I think that we can get a deal done if that's where he wants to go. And obviously we do need centre-back cover. Even if we get Joe Rodon in, we need to sign more centre-backs so we don't have the situation that we had with Ampadu moving back into midfield. Yeah. So, Andrew and listen, you guys may remember Omobamidele scoring against Leeds at Ellen Road. That was his first professional goal. We give out gifts, here's your first professional goal. But he's still a good player, man. It's just that he's gone to Forest, they've changed the manager, and he probably needs to get out and play football again, much like Joe Rodon. So yeah, for me, this one would be a good one, and we know Daniel Farker trusts him. You could say Ashley Phillips too. I know myself and Connor mentioned that one to me. But from a Blackburn, people that know him, good defender. So if you're looking down the loan route, obviously I don't think we'd loan two centre backs. So you probably go for one of the two. I'm just saying this one because I think Daniel Farker trusts him because he's worked with him before. And we've seen that's kind of been a factor in Daniel Farker's recruitment at times. On the other end of the spectrum is Craig Dawson. Craig Dawson has 1 year left on his deal at Wolves. He's 34 years old now. But I think if we can all agree that we need experience at this football club, and Craig Dawson, yeah, maybe it's not for him at Premier League level anymore, but I think he'd be a stellar addition in the Championship. And I don't think you'd expect 46 games out of Craig Dawson. Pace was never his main thing. It's his positional sense and his threat at set pieces, both defensively and attacking. He's good in both boxes, very solid defender, throws his body in the way of everything. And I just think he'd be a good experienced head to have around the place. Tons of Premier League experience. Bring that to Leeds United. I think it would be a solid sign. It'd be cheap as well. Year left on his deal, out of favour at Wolves. I think there's a lot of positives that go into it. Hey, listen, worst case scenario, you have to give him a 2-year deal. Get us up and we'll work out the year, come next year. Because obviously I don't like the idea of a 35-year-old Craig Dawson playing in the Premier League. But I think by then maybe you could, keep him in the background for experience like we've done with Liam Cooper this season. Or, you say, listen, Craig, go back to the Midlands. We'll write your contract off or whatever it may be, and enjoy your final years down in the Midlands back, you know what I'm saying. So there's ways around it. I think if the worst case scenario is that you have to give him a 2-year deal, I'd take that hit and just get him in as a defensive body and as well as the lone defender. and you're laughing. Hopefully you get Joe Roden back as well, but obviously that is up in the air. He has Premier League interest, which was inevitable. So there you go. Two central defenders, one alone. One's going to be fairly cheap. So I think that's pretty good. Now, someone isn't going to be cheap is Milan Van Ewijk. Now we've spoken about Coventry players previously. We talked about Ellis Sims. You know, people mentioned Callum O'Hare, who's free, which would be brilliant if we could get him on a free. But I believe the Premier League interest is too tough, and I think somebody's going to take a chance on him, especially being a free transfer. Now, Milan Van Ewijk is not going to be free. He will cost some money, but the good thing about this signing, he plays at right back. For people that don't know, is that he is going to play for the Championship, and I believe he will transfer to the Prem. I do. I think he's got all the attributes to transfer to the Prem. Quick, gets up and down with ease, good cross on him. He's got an eye for a goal. He got 2 goals and 5 assists for Coventry, which is pretty good. And that's his first year. So imagine how he progresses as he goes on and he gets older. 23 years old, will be 24 when the season rolls around. I think this is would be a brilliant sign, and I don't think it would be too expensive. Maybe you're looking at the upper regions at 10 million with add-ons. Maybe it would be a little bit more. But if you're solidifying one of the areas that you need to get an actual right back in, which will allow Archie Gray to be where he should be, I think it's a no-brainer. I like him a lot. He's looked impressive every time I've seen him. So yeah, I would absolutely go for him. Maybe he's got Premier League interest too, but again, it's about getting in early, getting those signings done, and selling the project. And look, the 49ers are a big draw themselves. We had the Red Bull in there. We've got a project worth considering, because I believe that some of the players that are looking to go to the Premier League, if the Premier League interest isn't there, I think we look like the next vehicle to say, if I go to Leeds United, I can easily help them get up, and I will be in the Premier League. And that is an avenue that we do have to sell to these players who may be considering going to the Premier League, or waiting, I should say, for a Premier League option to turn up. Milan Van Ewijk it ticks a lot of the boxes for me. You get him at right back, you never have to think about it again. Seriously. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, you know what? I put it on the line. I think you just automatically put him in and you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I said it. So there you go. Maybe there's business to be done there. Another one that will cost money, and obviously because we're going to lose attackers, I think that's pretty clear. We've already mentioned Somerville, possibly going to Chelsea, and other interest in him. You got to think about Nanto possibly going too. Is Morgan Whittaker, 19 goals last year. There is interest from the Premier League, but I will say this: his season kind of tailed off in the second half of the season, which I think may put off potential Premier League suitors. So that may give us an advantage. And listen, I don't hold that against Morgan Whittaker for tailing off. Listen, if we did that, we'd hold it against all of our squad that tailed off after the international break. We know you have to take things for the full picture. And Morgan Whittaker was like a one-man wrecking crew for Plymouth. He was absolutely brilliant. One other thing that I like about Morgan is his confidence. Love that he believes in his ability, which we need at this football club. I know some of you don't like people that believe in themselves, but believe it or not, that's how you get things done. All right, you need players that are confident. Go watch the Dortmund Real Madrid final later tonight. You're going to see players full of confidence on that pitch. That's what it takes to be successful. Morgan believes in himself, and I think it would be a good deal. Signed for Plymouth for 1 million, but obviously they rate him a bit higher. I believe they rejected like an 8.5 million bid from Lazio in January, maybe because of the time of the year. But maybe it takes that. I think he does have a little sell-on clause to Derby. Don't quote me on that. But if that's the case, Plymouth will probably want a couple, a bit of extra cheese in the packet. You know what I mean? So if we could get Morgan Whittaker, that would be good. The only thing that concerns me with Morgan is that he is a front player. And what I mean by that is that he doesn't really get back as much as, say, that we see Somerville do at this point in time. And Dan James in that respect. So it's one of those things where he's going to have to try and pick up what Farker likes, and that is his wingers to get back a bit. But as long as he doesn't look silly doing it like Joel Peru does, or uncomfortable, not silly, uncomfortable doing it like Joel Peru does, I think he'd be good here at Leeds. I think he's got the mentality to do it. Obviously depends on the price. There's probably better options out there, but at this level, I think he's ready for that next step up, and maybe the next step up isn't the Prem. Maybe it is Leeds United, and maybe he sees himself playing for Leeds in the Prem in the future, much like Milan. Now, the last name on this list is Ryan Sessegnon. Now, he will be free. 24 years old. And crazy that he's only 24. The issue with Ryan Sessegnon is that he's had double hamstring surgery. And boy, red flags. I mean, they're just ringing. They're ringing. The only thing that gives me, a little bit of hope is that he's had the surgeries. He says that he feels better. Of course, everyone's going to say they've never felt better in their lives. We hear it every year, of course. But the fact that it's free, it's a low risk, all depending, of course, the years you give him. But I think that Leeds will be smart enough. I think any club taking him on will be smart enough not to give him a long-term deal, especially with his injury history. And is that a good signing at this level? It would be if you're getting the Ryan Sessegnon that was at Fulham. That Ryan Sessegnon that was at Fulham was an absolute demon on the left. I mean, he was unplayable. And I don't blame Tottenham for spending the money they did on him. I thought he was going to translate to the Prem. But unfortunately, even before his injuries, he looked nervous. It didn't matter what manager was there. I even give him the first year. I thought, he didn't look good this season. Maybe he's settling. No, let's have a look at him next year. And he was the exact same. Looked unsure of himself. Looked like he didn't have the belief in himself. Now, of course, that's a few years ago. He's 24 now. He's matured. Maybe he will have the foresight to say, maybe I wasn't ready then. I am ready now. And of course, because if you're going by the past, I take it, it's very similar to Patrick Bamford, 17 league goals. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Various circumstances behind the empty stadium. And then it was before the real crippling injuries. Bamford was always injury prone, but then it really came after that season, didn't it? And that's the same with Sessegnon, had long-term injuries out. And that really does give me pause for concern. So, but it being a free, if it's a short-term deal, I think it's worth the risk. I think it might be worth the risk, but it has to be short-term. If we come out and say we've signed him for 4 years, I have to question why we're giving an injury-prone player 4 years on a contract. I don't think that makes any sense. But as a free transfer as well, which is, again, you have to take into account, there are other left backs out there, of course, that you could possibly get. I know, my long-term one has been Josh Doig. He's been relegated with Sassuolo in Italy. Sassuolo, I think it's called, actually. So, yeah, maybe you could go back in for him. But I'm just saying, as trying to be cost effective and just bring in the numbers a bit to beef out the squad with players that he will use. Maybe Sessegnon could be an answer. I don't know. Give me your thoughts below, people. That will be it for this video. That is it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give me your thoughts on anything discussed or any players that you think that we could possibly get in this division. Make it realistic. That's what I've tried to do in terms of the names I've given. I think they're more than realistic at this point. Let me know in the comments. Like the video before you go. Peace out, people. See you in the next one.